Good afternoon and welcome to the Maryvale Community Center. My name is Daniel Valenzuela, Phoenix City Council member. Every job in America is a tech job in some way, shape, or form. And as industries continue to evolve, our workforce has to continue to evolve, and we have to support K-12 education, but we can do more. We as a community must continue to come together and create opportunities to expose our youth with the skills, knowledge, and education needed to compete in the 21st century economy. Today we are launching codePHX, a public-private partnership between the City of Phoenix and the Arizona Community Foundation with the support of the Phoenix IDA. The vision of codePHX will offer technology and coding classes accessibly, equitably, and free to all of Phoenix's youth. By offering these classes, we are betting on our youth. We are investing in something that has the power to transform their lives and bridge some inequalities in their own neighborhoods. I am incredibly grateful for all of those who have been part of this program as we continue to launch and as we continue to make this program even more accessible. And I'd like to ask a few people to come up to say a few words, beginning with Inger Erickson, our Parks Director with the City of Phoenix. Thank you. So please welcome Inger Erickson.
Thank you, Councilman Valenzuela. It's so exciting to be here today. It's really a great opportunity that we're having to kick off the codePHX program. The City of Phoenix is proud to partner with the Phoenix IDA, the Arizona Community Foundation, and others to make codePHX a reality and available and free to citizens and community members and kids across the City of Phoenix. By combining these forces for this initiative, we're really going to be able to leverage the curriculum that the library, Rita Hamilton and her staff, have created over the years. And we're going to bring it not only to the libraries, but to the community centers. And so it's a great opportunity for us to expose youth around the city to these opportunities. I'd also like to thank some key members of the staff. I've already mentioned Rita Hamilton and her staff. If you guys could just stand up real quick and be recognized from the library and also the Parks and Recreation Department. They have done a great job combining forces, working together to make sure that we're providing consistent education in both the community centers as well as the library facilities. The grant funds that we will receive from the Phoenix IDA and the Arizona Community Foundation will help us buy the equipment that we need to make sure that we have computers available, the robotics, and the various real fun, cool things that kids want to use to learn to code. And as the councilman mentioned, coding is very important to almost every single job that's going to be there in the future. And we're building and creating the future for the kids. Again, the existing curriculum that was robotics, coding, and 3D modeling has been adapted from the library's curriculum. They've honed it over the last 3 years at Burton Barr, and it really is going to be a fabulous curriculum. Multiple classes will run in community centers and the libraries year-round. So all through the year, kids can have access to these opportunities. Some will be drop-in. So if registering for a program isn't the way to go, then you can do some drop-in classes. And so we have those kinds of opportunities to really meet the needs of the community. This is going to be impactful to kids, about 500 each year. And this is a 3-year program just to pilot it. And then we're hoping to continue it on through opportunities to partner and receive grants and donations from other folks. So by the 3rd year, we will hit 1,500 youth, different ones, unique individuals that will then have the opportunity to continue on to schools and other opportunities to grow their skills. So I encourage you to stop by any of these coding classes. We're going to have a demonstration a little bit later too, and it really is an exciting opportunity for the City of Phoenix, for our partners, to make sure that we provide accessible coding classes to our community. And with that, I'll bring up the councilman to introduce the next speaker.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Inger, and if you can and join me in welcoming our city manager, Ed Zerker, who is here, as well as Councilwoman Deborah Stark, who is here. Thank you so much. It means a lot to all of us. Now, when we first started this program, we first started talking about this program, it's been a while, but this is a long time coming for us to get to this point. And the first believer, I guess, you can say, the organization, obviously outside of some of us that have been kicking it around, actually I would say with us, kicking it around, is the Phoenix IDA. And I want to just welcome and thank Juan Salgado for believing, and Lydia Lee, of course, Lydia. Last year, through the Phoenix IDA, a summer youth pilot was funded right out of this location here for codePHX. We wanted to see what type of response we would get from our students from right here in Maryville at the Palo Verde Library, and it was exciting to see. We had several students come out. I mean, it was wildly successful, nearly 50-50 with male versus female ratio. As we know, there's a gender gap when it comes to tech jobs, and we are overcoming that here in the city of Phoenix because of this program and programs like this. And the people who were taking advantage of these classes, the students that were taking advantage of these classes, they truly reflected the people of the city of Phoenix. And so for so many reasons, this is a good program. And the Phoenix IDA believed in it then and continue to move us forward. And for that, I want to thank the entire board, and I want to bring up my friend who is certainly a champion for education and one of the board of directors for the Phoenix IDA, Lawrence Robinson.
Well, thank you, Councilman Valenzuela. On behalf of the Phoenix IDA, we could not be more excited to join you in this endeavor to expand the opportunity for kids here in our city. Mr. Salgado, Ms. Lydia Lee, our board member, David Lujan, board member Sal Rivera, are all here to join in a celebration. It really is a testament to the city of Phoenix that we're now providing the opportunity for economic development, for kids to understand their opportunities and their potential ahead of them, rooted in every neighborhood and every library here in the city. The $500,000 that the IDA put in is a large investment. It's very large for our organization, but the potential to really seed coding and ingenuity and entrepreneurial opportunities doesn't have a price tag. I'm the board member who is on a local school board, and that's probably why I got chosen to speak today on behalf of the IDA. But really, this project, codePHX, is a testament to the fact that no matter if you're in a public school, have a kid or not, we should all be investing in the next generation of kids and the next generation of jobs here in Phoenix. Only 25% of our elementary schools here in the Valley are equipped to actually provide a computer science curriculum. Only 16 of the 325 schools even offer a full STEM curriculum. And so if we don't step up through partnerships such as what we see today and what we're so proud to be a part of at the Phoenix IDA, then we're not going to actually help our city enter that next generation. And so we'll see what comes out of it. We'll see what businesses develop. We'll see what lives are changed. And we look forward to seeing what coding happens here in the Valley, all throughout the Valley, not just in downtown, here in the west side and the south side, because of your effort, Councilman Valenzuela, and all of those who have partnered today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lawrence, and thank you to the rest of the board that is also here. And I want to reiterate Lawrence's point. This is not just a program for West Phoenix. We are very proud that we are here in West Phoenix to launch it. This program is a citywide effort. Again, the vision of codePHX is to make coding and offer other technology classes accessibly, equitably, and free to all of Phoenix's youth. And we couldn't do that without our partners, obviously the Phoenix IDA being one of them. And we have another founding partner, a strong partner, another certainly a friend and a leader of education. And And I want to bring up Mr. Steve Seleznow with the Arizona Community Foundation. Please welcome Mr. Seleznow.
Good afternoon. I'm thrilled to be here. We're very excited to be able to fund this along with our partner in philanthropy, the Phoenix IDA. Many of you would say, like, why on earth would you say that about the Phoenix Industrial Development Authority? They're not a philanthropy. Well, I have news for you. You have in this city one of the best and most important philanthropic organizations there is, of course, after the Arizona Community Foundation. But the mission of the IDA is not one that's necessarily thought of as philanthropic. And we at the Arizona Community Foundation have had the opportunity to work with the IDA for close to going on 7 years. And whether it's below market rate loans to nonprofits where we participate together, or whether it's grants where we participate together, I consider the Phoenix IDA a great philanthropic partner and a great organization that takes the resources they're able to generate by the smart way they go about their business and reinvest it back into this city. And I think we're all very fortunate that we have that kind of visionary leadership at the IDA board level and at their leadership level with Juan Salgado and Lydia and the whole team over there. So we're really honored to stand with them. You know, when Juan came to me and said, I need you to give me $250,000 to support this Code Phoenix, I said, okay, that's what I usually do when he suggests that. But, you know, we're not the ones who create the ideas in philanthropy. What we're really good at is finding people with really great ideas and getting behind them and getting them the resources to do great things. And you heard Councilman Valenzuela say this is about equity and access. And this is about ensuring that every child in the city of Phoenix, wherever they live, has access and the opportunity to learn how to code. You know, I just heard before I came up here that some people in the industry would rather have graduates of Phoenix Union High School District's Coding Academy come work for them than graduates of ASU. Can you imagine that? And why is that? Because they are so ready. They haven't made any mistakes yet, and they're really trainable and they're really capable and they think really creatively. So I think if we can create a pipeline through this program and libraries throughout the city, more and more kids can go to the Coding Academy that Phoenix Union High School District has created, and then maybe we can create more coding academies to meet the demands from students. I'll end with this story. I used to work for Bill Gates before I came here. And you may not know this, but in his day, when he was a middle schooler, he didn't have access to a coding academy. So you know what he did? He'd sneak out of the house at night, this is a true story, and he'd run up to the University of Washington and he would break into, this is true, the University of Washington Computer Science Center. And what would he do late into the night, after he snuck out of the window of his house? He'd go into their computer rooms and he would code, and he taught himself how to code beginning in 8th grade. And look what he's done. So there are probably a number of future Bill Gateses running around the city of Phoenix. Now they won't have to break into Grand Canyon's Computer Science Center or try to get down to ASU's and break into theirs, or even break into Chad's, coding academy. They'll be able to come to their local public library right here in their own community and learn how to code. And that is just a great thing. So we're thrilled to support the city, the council, Councilman Valenzuela, the public library system here in Phoenix for having the vision to do this and be willing to do this, and to the Phoenix IDA for their support all the way through. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Steve. how do you not get something done with Steve Seleznow and Juan Salgado in the same room, and they're both committed, and of course we have our leaders here, with our city staff, and this program, as Steve mentioned, at the end of 3 years, now we're starting with 13 locations, but at the end of 3 years, we'll have this program in all 17 public libraries, our mobile units, and partner organizations to make it even more accessible as we continue to evolve. Now, we're fortunate to have another business leader here with us today. He is also a friend of education, but also the president and CEO of an organization that works with all of our major corporations in the city, in the valley, and in the state, and all of which have a workforce that continues to evolve. And so we're honored to have Neil Giuliano here with us today from GPL.
Thank you, Councilman Valenzuela. I am pleased to be here on behalf of Greater Phoenix Leadership, which is the consortium of the CEO-level leaders in the business community and the major foundations within Arizona. And so why would I be here? I would be here because the young people that will be involved with codePHX will likely one day be employed by many of the organizations that are members of GPL, about 100 CEOs representing about 300,000 employees in the metropolitan Phoenix area. So for us, this is about the relationships that are being formed. It's about workforce development. It's about sustainability. It's about the message that is under codePHX on the great graphic, create your future. Because at the end of the day, when all the folks who are in their many jobs all around this region doing important work, no matter what field it is in, they're going home to their loved ones and their families, and they're talking about and creating a future. So the work that's being done with something like codePHX is important on that business level, of course, and it's important on technology, on a technological level. And it's important on all those levels that we have identified, which is why the funding has coming in. But I would also encourage you to realize and understand how important it is on a human level. On a human level, that people are given the opportunity to create their future through a program like this. It reminds me when I was sitting there of a great line that said, if you would sense the past, you would touch a stone. If you would capture the moment, you would touch a rose. But if you want to glimpse the future eternal, you touch a life. And so through all the activity that's going to be taking in codePHX, you're really touching lives and helping them create their futures. And I know the CEO leaders in this region are counting on that to happen, need that to happen, and we will be partners with you in making that happen. So thank you for having me here today, Councilman, and congratulations to you for moving this forward.
Thanks, Neil. It means a lot. I really appreciate it. Now, you mentioned, or Steve mentioned his name earlier. We have Dr. Chad Gaston with us. He's the superintendent of the Phoenix High School district, and it is the largest school district that we have in the state of Arizona, the most diverse district in the state of Arizona. And there's been some great things happening in the district under his leadership, and of course the board. The Phoenix Union High School District actually has a bioscience high school among other specialty schools, and just recently opened the Phoenix Coding Academy, which is, again, very, very successful, and it's through this man's vision. So please welcome Dr. Chad Gaston.
Well, good afternoon. We are excited to be here and be a part of this fantastic endeavor. Phoenix Union High School District today is up to 20 schools in our portfolio. And you mentioned Bioscience High School, which recently was announced as the top performing Title I school in the entire state of Arizona. We thank you. We also, just 2 years ago, launched the Phoenix Coding Academy. It's, again, one of 20 schools in our portfolio. And before we even launched Phoenix Coding Academy, we were doing tours of the business community. You heard Neil a couple minutes ago talk about the need for coders to drive the future economy, really not even the future economy, the economy of today. And we toured with a local company. I won't name which company it was. But they, after the tour, asked us if they could have first dibs on the scene. We didn't have any students yet. We were only about to accept freshmen. They asked if we could have first dibs on the seniors to offer them internships and jobs that they would offer paid internships to all seniors at the Coding Academy before we accepted a single person. That is what the workforce is demanding. Steve, a couple minutes ago, talked about this idea of youth having to find and create their own access to coding. It is not fair that across the country that youth who have opportunities like coding and programming happen to live in suburbs and in communities that have resources. This is a phenomenal opportunity to bring this to every single one of the libraries and start to really bring it all throughout the valley. We have our own success stories inside of our district. Today you're going to hear very briefly from Kimberly, who is a sophomore at the Coding Academy. She's only going to speak for about a minute, but when she's done, I don't mean to embarrass her, but I'd encourage you to talk to her about her passion for engineering and her passion for coding. She's an awesome example of the future of Phoenix and the future of coding. But we also, and I'll end with this story, we also have a young gentleman who is a Phoenix Union alum who grew up in this neighborhood. And he didn't have to break into the library system, but he had every day, he was a student, grew up in this neighborhood, went to Alhambra High School. And every day after school rode the public transportation, rode the city bus to the Burton Bar Library. And at the time, Burton Bar didn't have coding, it didn't have programming, didn't have teachers, didn't have opportunity. And so he would show up and would grab the book that said Coding for Dummies and Programming for Dummies. And he would go, he could only have an hour a day on the computer because he had to wait for the next group of people. And he would teach himself how to code and program for an hour a day, every day. Would ride a bus for an hour, code for an hour, go back home on the bus for an hour. And he did that for a couple of years. Eventually developed his own websites and his own blogs. While he was in high school, began to sell those websites and blogs, would sell advertisements on those websites and blogs, eventually earned a full ride scholarship to Barrett the Honor College, where he tells stories of making six-figure deals in between classes as a student at Barrett the Honor College. Still today is the fastest ever graduate in the history of Barrett the Honor College. And now runs and owns companies and has employees all throughout the globe. And that was only possible because he learned to speak the language of code. A lot of people say today that students should leave high school trilingual, English, another world language, and coding. And this is an amazing opportunity to create bilingual and trilingual youth who go on to drive the economy and get jobs with the CEOs that Neil talked about, and eventually become philanthropists and give to the Community Foundation. So I want to thank everybody and thank Councilman Valenzuela for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Gaston. Now, we did a soft launch for Code Phoenix a couple of weeks ago. And again, 13 locations. In that first week, just 1 week, we've had 176 students already who've come out and signed up and have taken classes. That's in the first week. And of course, the program continues to ramp up and information continues to ramp up, and these students are from all over the city. So it's very exciting. I want to introduce a couple of people and truly introduce who we are doing this for. I'd like to ask Deirdre Brown and Kimberly Sanchez. Why don't we have Deirdre come up first, if that's okay? Now, Deirdre Brown, Mrs. Brown, has 2 children in Code Phoenix classes at Tarver Learning Center, and we'll bring Kimberly Sanchez up as well, if you don't mind, Kimberly. Kimberly Sanchez is enrolled at the Coding Academy. Again, something Dr. Gaston mentioned, but I'll go ahead and turn the microphone over to you. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. like to thank the councilman. Again, my name is Deirdre Brown, and my children are participating in the codePHX classes at Tarver Learning Center. I can say that this is by far like one of the best programs that I have enrolled my kids in. When I said that this is the best program I could have introduced them to, I really mean it. They are so excited about going to coding class. During the summer, they did the 2-day program, and they like, what time are we leaving? When are we gonna get there? We're gonna get there on time. So I'm so happy that they really enjoy it. And right now, they should be watching me speak, but they're outside on computers. Okay. I just like the knowledge base that they're learning. Coding is helping them increase their critical thinking skills. They have to learn this in school anyways, and both of them have just blossomed. They speak a whole new lingo that I don't even understand. I'm like, what are you learning? We're learning JavaScript and Python, and I'm like, what? So they call their uncle who's in IT, and he breaks it down to them, and they talk about it, and I'm out of the loop. So, as I said, I'm excited. Both of them really enjoyed the program, and it makes me happy to see that they're so passionate about it and that they're going to be able to just reach for the stars and be able to do new things and new adventures in their lives. codePHX is a really awesome program, and my husband was concerned about the cost of it, and I was really excited when I told him that it was free. So, my kids are also enrolled in the fall program. They may not see it now, but as they're exposed to more and more coding, they may also see this as a profession that they could feel really good about. And the saying, you know how the saying goes, it says, if you are doing something that you really enjoy, you will never work a day in your life. And I want both of my kids to experience this, and I think codePHX has opened these doors for them.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Sanchez, and I'm a student at Phoenix Coding Academy. I love my coding classes there, and I know that what I'm learning there is definitely preparing me for my future schooling and job opportunities. It is going to help me immensely in the career field that I want to pursue, which is engineering. I know I am confident that I will succeed in my future thanks to the coding that I am learning.
Thank you so much, Deirdre and Kimberly. I'm confident knowing that Kimberly is going to be a future engineer in our community, and that makes me feel good. We have a lot of future engineers in our community, and coding, unlike most other industries, has found a way to capture our youth and capture their attention, and we all benefit for that. Now, not everyone who takes a coding class is going to be an engineer. We get that. We understand that. But what coding will teach is problem solving. It'll teach STEM fields. It'll even teach our students to fail safely, but to get back up and dust themselves off and continue to move forward. And that's, we can always use more of that in our community, in our city. So again, I want to thank all of our sponsors. Again, I want to thank the Phoenix IDA and Arizona Community Foundation, Greater Phoenix. It's great to have you here, Neil. I really appreciate that. GPL and of course Dr. Gaston from the Phoenix Union High School District. Most of all, Deirdre and Kimberly. You were the reason all of this is existing now. This concludes the press conference. For those who would like to stay and visit with our speakers, you're welcome to. If you'd like, right out the doors, if you take a left and another left, you can see an actual coding class in session. And I think you might be amazed at what you see there with our youth. Again, thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for supporting codePHX, and God bless.